It's very interesting to come to this realization that all that you are already is. That throws the intellect for a loop. He says, how can that be? All that you are already is. You think about it though. A newborn baby, everything that the baby will be as an adult already is there. The intellect says, well, no, it's not. It's just a little tiny thing. But genetically, cellular-wise, everything's already there. It just has to mature. It's in a state of becoming. So, when you begin to think about it, all that you are already is. It's just a matter of becoming. So, why worry? We find ourselves, we worry so much about who are we going to be? How are we going to be there? How are we going to get there? What's going to happen to us? It's such a relief if you can allow yourself to know that all that you are already is. So it becomes a matter of taking the steps, step by step, allowing yourself to unfold. It's an unfolding process. A baby, he doesn't worry about becoming an adult until others around it begins to pressure it. You know, he says, grow up. Who do you think you are? What's the matter with you? Grow up. Quit being this, quit being that. What would it be like if you just left alone? So you could unfold naturally and become naturally without this outside pressure saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. There's a natural becoming to our being, which has become unnatural in the world because of systems and structures and beliefs and concepts. So human beings have become unnatural in all kinds of ways, are forced to be unnatural and have become disconnected from nature, from mother, in all kinds of ways. And people are afraid even to touch the earth, to touch nature. Afraid of life. So everything's become disrailed in all kinds of ways. So how we get back to being natural, to being our true selves, and to allow ourselves to unfold. It's a process of really allowing. It's not a how to. How do you allow? How do you allow? You allow. You let go. And so life is a process of letting go. And one person is say, is not to hold on. Oh, how do you let go? Don't hold on. Oh. So one is trying to let go. You can't try to let go. You just don't hold on. The intellect, well, that's a lot easier than done, said than done. No, it's not. You just Stop clinging. Now, when we look at this process of not holding on, you think about how one holds on to illness, a disease. One holds on to problems. One holds on to catastrophes. One holds on to fear. You see how much energy is expended in one's life by holding on to what might happen. How your life is literally wasted by what might happen, by fear. And once we are willing to just take a little bit of a risk of what might be around the corner, what might be behind that door, you see, just take a peek. What might be there? Don't be afraid. You think about the opportunities that have been missed because you are afraid. You're afraid just to take a look, just to see, and afraid to have an experience. So many people in my life have missed out because they were afraid to let go of their cherished beliefs. They heard the good news to say, and they were excited. They felt speeded up. They felt something, and they knew that was it. They really did know that was it. But they backed away because of fear. It went against their old beliefs and concepts. And they were afraid. It was like they said, this is like going out on this limb, and who is this guy anyway? Who is this guy? Where'd he come from? He's like an alien or something, he's no, what is he anyway? How do I know that he could be right? I better run back to my spiritual circle where it's safe. And essentially that is like going back to mommy. And how many times has this happened to people, a good example is you meet the love of your life. Really, you meet the love of your life. Wonderful person. And you're getting along very, very good. And the question comes, should we really make it more permanent? And you say, oh, permanent? Oh. No, I'm going to go back to mom. I'm going to go back to mommy. I'm going to go home. I'm not ready for this. And you met your, the soulmate. Everybody's looking for the soulmate, and you meet your soulmate, and you run back to mommy, your daddy, because you're afraid. Fear blocks, fear cripples, fear destroys you, because you're afraid to move forward into light, into life. And life is a risky process if you're going to live. Death is easy. Staying in a safe place is easy. But I tell you, that is the place of death, of dying. The whole world is in the dying process. They're dying. They're dying for lack of love. They're dying for lack of compassion. They're dying for lack of connection. They're following the dead-end programs that lead to annihilation. And they are like sheeps that are being led by false shepherds, prophets, and these guys are going off to the slaughterhouse, and everybody seems blah, blah, blah happy, and there's a few sheeps in there who are saying, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. But they get pushed to the side. And so that's the way it goes. But it takes courage to break free of the crowd, which is your friends and relatives and people that you've grown up with, and say, wait a minute, I feel in my being there must be something to this. There must be something different. There must be, I feel it. And I need to follow this feeling. I need to trust myself. I need to really follow this out to see where it goes. It feels important. So one can't be a chicken heart on this path. You can't be a chicken. You got to be a brave, marching being and say, yes, I have to go for this. And it takes courage, because when you're walking into this cloudy arena of wondrous possibilities, it's hard to see what it is, because you're not allowed to really mess with it, you see. You can't dictate and say, this is how it's supposed to be. You can't. Because it's designed in such a way, it's made for discovery. And it wipes one's mind, intellect away, because you can't program it. And that reason you can't program it is because you can't mess it up. It's of itself powerful, and you can't mess with it. You can't say, this is how it has to be. It is how it is. And one embraces this isness with the whole being and becomes empowered, becomes evolving into something far beyond what you were. And you can't drag the old you with that. You can't bring along your old clothes and junk, you see. You literally, I'll say the word, die to the self. Yeah. It's death in a way. You die to the old self to be reborn. Many people don't realize what rebirth is. Dying out to the old to be reborn to the new. You literally die to your past to be reborn to the new. It's a transformation. And it's a necessary transformation, because the reason that is so is because if you don't die out to the past, to the old, you muck up the new. You bring all the old concepts and beliefs and junk into the new, and you pollute it. You pollute it, you mess it up. You bring in the old ideas into the fresh, wondrous heaven world, the possibilities, and you muck it up, you cloud it up, you distort it, and eventually it just turns into the old stuff again. And this happens over and over and over. A person discovers this most wondrous light, and they fill it up with darkness. It happens over and over and over. It is so disgusting to see it happen. It's the story of the wine bottles, really. You have to bring new wine bottles for this wine. You can't use the old bottles. And that's essentially, you just have to get rid of the old stuff. You have to throw out the old stuff, get rid of it, die to the self to be reborn. And so this is what transformation is. It's dying out to the past, because you can't bring it with you. And I think that's probably why we have so few people. Very few people have the courage to face death. Scary, isn't it? To face death. To lie down and die. I one time with one of my students was having lots of trouble, and life was being so difficult, and just was really, really hard. She's having so many problems and things. And I says, well, I think we're going to have to do a funeral for you. And I said, you lay down here in front of my altar, and we're going to have a funeral for you. And so I had some flowers on my altar, and so she lays down in front of my altar, and I pull these flowers out of the vase, and I lays them on her. And it was very appropriate, but the flowers are all kind of gooey on the bottom. And she says, thanks, Ishvara, putting these gooey flowers on me, but it was a good funeral. She got over the problem with the gooey flowers, but we never forgot it because we laid there laughing. So it was a good funeral, a new life. I expect she never forgot about it. If she's listening, she probably is laughing now about it. But it's death to the old. It's death to the old. We have to move on. We have to keep letting go. And we die 1,000 times to the old. Every time the old comes up, I'm dead. I'm alive again. There's rebirthing, rebirthing, rebirthing. I'm a rebirther, I guess. I keep reborning myself because the old creeps in and says, hey, you can't leave me that easy. I say, yes, I can. I'm done with you. I don't have nothing to do with you. You're dead. You're dead to me. And so that way we are fresh. Can you imagine what would happen with our body if our cells didn't keep dying? What? Could you imagine? We would look like kabunklins. We would have, that's a new word for it. We would have all kinds of stuff. We have bubbles and blobbles and, we would be hideous. Talk about a monster. You would awful looking if your old cells didn't keep flopping off. So we have to keep dying daily to the self. You die to your fears, you die to your angers, you die to your jealousies, you die to your separations, everything. You keep dying to all of that stuff. And that's the way you live. And then you live in light, you live in joy, you live in presence, you live in being. And that's the new life. And that's what the new human is about, and that is the new consciousness. We constantly are renewed and transformed moment by moment. And that's what it is. So you've had your funeral now, and you've come to life.